The waiter's voice is low but firm. "I'm sorry, sir, this coupon isn't valid here." The man stiffens. His jacket is frayed, his hands rough from work. Across the table, his little girl sits in a paper crown she made herself, a single scoop of melting ice cream in front of her. He swallows hard, blinking back the humiliation as diners glance their way. The girl reaches out, her tiny hand wrapping around his. Her voice is soft, steady. "It's okay, Daddy," she whispers. "We can leave." 3 tables away, a woman in a black suit pauses mid-bite. She's worth billions. But in that moment, something inside her cracks. The waiter clears his throat again, trying to keep his tone professional. "Sir, I'm really sorry. These coupons expired last month. I can't process this." David's fingers tighten around the edge of the folded coupon. The restaurant's warm golden light makes every scuff on his jacket, every stain on his calloused hands, stand out sharper. He forces a smile he doesn't feel. Across from him, Lily swings her legs beneath the chair, not quite reaching the floor. She's wearing a paper crown she made in the car, declaring tonight their fancy dinner. The room is filled with soft jazz and the clink of wine glasses. At nearby tables, people in pressed suits and dresses glance sideways. A woman with diamonds on her wrist whispers something behind her napkin. David feels their eyes like weights pressing down on his shoulders. He leans forward, whispering, "Hey, sweetheart, looks like we'll have to do dinner another time, okay?" His voice trembles. Lily studies his face with that too grown-up look kids get when they understand more than they should. She slides her little hand over his cracked knuckles. "It's okay, Daddy," she says gently. "We can leave." The waiter shifts awkwardly. A couple at the next table goes quiet. 3 tables away, Alina Gray lowers her glass of sparkling water. Perfect black suit, sharp posture. A woman who signs billion-dollar contracts without blinking. But right now, she's not hearing the music. She's hearing the way that child said Daddy. The way her own daughter once said it. David starts to stand, fumbling with his jacket, trying to hide the flush burning up his neck. He doesn't look at anyone. If he can just get Lily out before the whispers grow louder. "Wait," a voice says. David turns. Alina is standing, her eyes steady but soft, like someone remembering something they wish they hadn't forgotten. She takes a step forward. For the first time all evening, the entire restaurant is silent. Even the music seems to fade. Lily blinks up at her, curious. Alina exhales slowly, and in that breath, everything shifts. Rain taps gently against a cracked kitchen window. David stands at the counter of a tiny apartment, spreading peanut butter on stale bread. The lights flicker once, like they always do when the heater kicks in. "Daddy, can we bring the crown tomorrow too?" Lily's voice comes from the living room. She's curled up on their second-hand couch, coloring on the back of an old envelope. He smiles faintly. "Of course, sweetheart, that crown goes everywhere you go." She giggles, not noticing the unopened stack of overdue bills beside him. Electricity, rent, medical debt, all in red letters. He exhales through his nose, folding the sandwich carefully, cutting it into a heart like her mom used to. He glances at the photo taped to the fridge. Him, Lily, and her mother, before the hospital visits, before the layoffs, before everything got small. Somewhere high above the city, in a penthouse of steel and glass, Alina Gray is not listening to rain. She's surrounded by quiet so thick it feels colder than the marble floors. Her breakfast table is long, white, perfect. A housekeeper pours imported coffee into a porcelain cup. Alina doesn't taste it. She's reading a report about a merger that will make her company billions. She signs her name with practiced ease. But her eyes flicker, just for a second, to the empty chair across from her, the one no one ever sits in anymore. The city hums beneath her like a machine. David packs Lily's lunch into a reused plastic bag, taps her nose playfully. "You ready to conquer the world?" She nods fiercely, wearing her paper crown like it's real gold. Down on the street, the bus hisses to a stop. A chill wind pushes through the cracked door as they step out, hand in hand. Across the skyline, Elena stares out of the penthouse window, fingers resting on the glass. She can see the same gray sky, but from her height, it doesn't touch her. 2 lives, same city, different worlds. And neither of them knows that one ordinary night will make those worlds collide. Elena lifts her eyes from her untouched glass of water. The restaurant glows with warm light, soft music wrapping around crystal and chatter. But all she can hear is that little girl's voice still echoing. "It's okay, Daddy. We can leave." David bends down to zip Lily's jacket, trying to keep his hands from shaking. His voice is low, controlled, the way people speak when they're trying not to break in public. "Come on, sweetheart, let's go." Lily nods, obedient but still watching the uneaten sundae on the table. It was supposed to be special. A celebration. The first one in a long time. Eleanor's hand hovers over the table for a moment, then she signals the waiter with a subtle movement. "Put their bill on mine," she whispers. The waiter hesitates, then nods quickly. David straightens up. "What's going on?" The waiter clears his throat. "It's been taken care of, sir." David stiffens. "By who?" Elena rises slowly, smoothing her jacket, every eye in the room shifting toward her. She's not used to hesitation, not used to walking toward something she doesn't fully understand. But she does, step by step. David's face flushes red. "We didn't ask for charity." "I know," Elena says softly. Her voice doesn't sound like the woman who gives orders in boardrooms. It sounds like someone standing on fragile ground. "It's not charity, it's a favor, for someone I once loved." Lily tilts her head, studying this stranger with the shiny shoes and sad eyes. David shakes his head, clutching Lily's hand. "We're fine, we don't need." "Please," Elena interrupts gently. "Let me do this, for a little girl I couldn't save." The air seems to freeze. The waiter steps back. Conversations around them fade into a hush. David's jaw tightens, his pride and pain pulling in opposite directions. He opens his mouth to speak, but Lily beats him to it. "Thank you," she whispers. Her tiny voice carries farther than anyone expects. Elena swallows hard, blinking against a memory only she can see. A hospital room. A small hand she never got to hold again. David exhales, shoulders sinking. For the first time, he doesn't walk away. Elena nods once, like something inside her just cracked open. 2 strangers, 1 quiet table, and a moment neither of them will ever forget. The hallway light flickers as David pushes open the apartment door. Lily is asleep on his shoulder, her crown crumpled between them. He sets her gently on the couch, tucking a thin blanket over her. She curls into it like a cat, still smiling in her sleep. He sinks into the kitchen chair, elbows on his knees, face buried in his hands. The restaurant receipt is still in his pocket, though it never should have been his to begin with. He hears his wife's voice in the back of his mind, soft and steady, the way she sounded before the hospital walls swallowed her. "Promise me, David. Promise me Lily will always smile, even if I can't be there." His throat tightens. She's smiling. But he isn't sure how much longer he can hold the world together with tape and hope. In another part of the city, Elena sits alone in her penthouse office. The skyline glows through the floor-to-ceiling windows, but it doesn't reach her. She's barefoot now, the heels she wore to the restaurant kicked carelessly under the desk. Her laptop screen is still open to a quarterly report. She hasn't read a word. She opens the drawer beneath her desk. Inside is a faded hospital bracelet. Her fingers hover over it like it might shatter if she touches it too hard. Emma Gray, age 8. the same age as the little girl who said, "Thank you tonight." She closes her eyes, the sterile white of hospital rooms flooding back. Her daughter's small hand slipping from hers while she was stuck in a boardroom 3 states away. The call she got, the silence that followed. For years, she buried the sound of her daughter's voice under meetings, private jets, and polished speeches. But tonight, a stranger's child cracked the armor. Back in the apartment, David gently kisses Lily's forehead. Her hair smells like cheap shampoo and vanilla ice cream. He whispers, "I'll figure it out, baby. I'll find a way." In the penthouse, Eleanor presses the hospital bracelet to her chest like a fragile heartbeat. Her voice breaks into the empty room. "I'm sorry, Emma." 2 sleepless hearts in 2 different worlds, one holding on to the future, one chained to the past. And both, without knowing, are already standing on the edge of something neither expected. The knock on the door comes just as David is tying Lily's shoelaces. It's soft, polite, not the kind of knock he's used to from landlords or bill collectors. He opens the door a crack, and there she is, Eleanor Gray, in a long beige coat, hair pulled back, no entourage, just her. David stiffens immediately. "What are you doing here?" Eleanor holds up a small paper bag, the kind a diner gives with takeout. "I'm not here to make anything uncomfortable," she says carefully. "I just thought maybe Lily might like pancakes." Lily's eyes widen. "Pancakes?" David glances down at her, then back at Eleanor. "We don't need." "I know," Eleanor cuts in gently. "I just wanted to say hello." It's strange. She doesn't sound like a CEO. She sounds like someone knocking on a door she isn't sure she's welcome at. After a long pause, David sighs and opens the door wider. Lily runs straight to the little kitchen table, her paper crown already back on her head. They sit in the small kitchen, 3 mismatched chairs, sunlight creeping in through chipped blinds. The pancakes are slightly cold, but Lily doesn't care. She's talking nonstop, about school, about the crown, about how the restaurant looked like a castle. Eleanor listens, really listens. No phone in her hand, no assistant whispering about schedules. Just her, leaning forward as Lily waves her fork around, telling stories like they matter. David watches from the side, still guarded. "Why are you doing this?" he finally asks. Eleanor looks at him. Her voice drops to a fragile truth. "Because she reminds me of someone I lost, and because I didn't want the last time we met to be a goodbye." Lily slides a pancake across the table toward her. "You can have some," she says, with that unfiltered kindness only kids have. Eleanor smiles, something real flickering behind tired eyes. "Thank you, sweetheart." For a moment, the kitchen doesn't feel so small. For a moment, the weight in David's chest lightens. When she stands to leave, Eleanor bends down to Lily's level. "You remind me of someone very special," she whispers. Lily tilts her head. Was she a princess too? Eleanor's breath catches. "Yeah," she says softly, "she was." David doesn't stop her when she walks away. He just watches, quietly, as Lily waves from the doorway, pancake crumbs on her chin and hope in her eyes. David sits at the edge of the couch long after Lily has fallen asleep, staring at the glow of the streetlights leaking through the blinds. The envelope on the table has Eleanor's card in it, her offer, neatly typed, polite, impossible to ignore. A stable job, decent pay, a way out of the hole he's been sinking into. He rubs his forehead. "She doesn't know us," he mutters to the empty room. "We're not a project." The clock ticks louder than usual. His wife's picture on the wall seems to watch him. He remembers the way she used to say, "You can't carry the world on your back forever, David. Let someone help once in a while." But pride's a stubborn thing, and so is fear. The next morning, he walks Lily to school. Her backpack is almost bigger than she is, the paper crown tucked carefully into the side pocket. She skips ahead, twirling in the crisp air, humming a song only she knows. "Daddy," she calls out, "if I get a gold star today, can we go back to the fancy place?" His chest tightens, he forces a smile. "We'll see, kiddo." When she disappears into the schoolyard, David stays standing at the gate a little too long, watching her blend into a world he wants to give her more of. That afternoon, Alina is waiting at the cafe down the street. She's dressed simply this time. No security, no driver. Just a woman sitting with 2 cups of coffee, hands folded tightly in her lap. David hesitates at the door. She notices. "I'm not here to fix your life," she says before he even sits down. "I'm just offering a chance. What you do with it is yours." He lets out a shaky laugh. "You make it sound easy." "It's not." She looks down at her hands. "But some chances don't come twice. I know that better than anyone." Her voice has that quiet, painful honesty again, the same one he heard at the restaurant. He stares at the coffee, the steam curling like a slow question. "I don't want to owe anyone anything." "You won't," she replies softly. "Just work, just let someone believe in you." His jaw tightens. He thinks about the bills stacked at home, the cracked ceiling, the way Lily's shoes are starting to tear at the edges. He thinks about her smile, her paper crown. That night, he tucks Lily into bed and sits beside her. She opens one sleepy eye. "Daddy." "Yeah, bug. Maybe we can stay somewhere, longer this time." The words land heavier than she knows. He smooths her hair back and whispers, "Yeah, maybe we can." The next morning, David calls Alina. He doesn't say much, just, "I'll take it." On the other end, her breath catches, not like a CEO closing a deal, but like someone who just got a second chance she didn't expect. The revolving doors of Gray Industries hiss softly as David steps inside, shoulders stiff, collar slightly crooked. His jacket isn't designer. His shoes are scuffed, but he walks like a man who's trying his hardest not to let the weight of his nerves show. The lobby gleams, marble floors, polished brass, screens glowing with company slogans. People in sharp suits glide past him, their badges clipped perfectly. He fumbles his visitor ID twice before clipping it on. First day, a young receptionist asks kindly. "Yeah," he replies, clearing his throat. "Something like that." She smiles. "You'll be fine." Upstairs, Alina watches from behind a glass wall. She sees him standing in the elevator, hands in his pockets, shoulders set like a man ready to walk into fire. She remembers that feeling. Not the fire, just the fear of being small in a world built for giants. David's first assignment is simple, warehouse logistics, but the whispers start before lunchtime. "Who is he?" someone mutters near the copier. "CEO's charity case," another answers. "Bet he doesn't last a month." He hears every word, even if they think he doesn't. He keeps his head down, sorting inventory faster than anyone else, careful, methodical. When the shift ends, his shirt is damp, his back aches, but he's still standing. Meanwhile, Lily bursts out of school with a grin, clutching a sheet with a big gold star. Alina is waiting outside, leaning against her car, not as a CEO today, but as someone who wanted to see that smile again. "You got it," she says softly as Lily runs up to her. "Daddy's working in a big building," Lily says proudly, "like a superhero." Alina laughs quietly. "Yeah, something like that." Weeks pass, the whispers fade. David's quiet competence starts to turn heads. When others cut corners, he doesn't. When someone's in trouble, he lifts without being asked. Little by little, walls begin to crack. In the evenings, he and Lily stop by Alina's office sometimes. Lily draws on sticky notes while Alina pretends to work, but mostly listens to her talk. David always stands by the door, never quite sitting, never fully letting his guard down. But then one night, Lily runs up to Alina with a crooked drawing of 3 stick figures holding hands. Alina stares at it longer than she should. Her throat tightens. David shifts awkwardly. She, likes to draw what she wants the world to look like. Eliner blinks hard and smiles. It's perfect. In that moment, the glass walls don't feel so cold. The distance between a penthouse and a small apartment shrinks inch by inch. David may not see it yet, but a quiet transformation has already begun. The photo is on the front page of 3 business blogs by morning. Eliner Gray, billionaire CEO, standing outside the company's headquarters, holding a little girl's hand. The headline is merciless. Billionaire's new charity project. By noon, the whispers that once lived in corners of the office now run down every hallway. She's getting soft. It's bad optics. The board won't like this. David pretends not to hear, but it's different this time. People don't just look through him anymore. They look at him, and not kindly. When he walks into the break room, the conversation dies mid-sentence. A man with a tie too tight and a smile too thin says, "Must be nice," skipping the line straight to a corner of the CEO's heart. David's jaw tightens. He sets his coffee down carefully. "I work like everyone else here." "Sure," the man snorts. "That's one way to put it." Eliner spends the afternoon in the boardroom, surrounded by people who wear polite concern like masks. "Eliner, this is dangerous," one of them says. "Personal attachments don't mix well with business." "She's a child," Eliner replies evenly. "And he's not," another snaps. "Your decisions affect billions. If you want to save strays, do it quietly." The words slide across the table like knives. She sits still, fingers locked together, the hospital bracelet hidden in her pocket. That night, David comes home late. Lily is sitting on the floor with her crayons, humming to herself. She holds up another drawing. This time it's Eliner, David, and Lily under a big yellow sun. "Daddy, I drew us all together," she says, proud. He kneels down, forcing a smile, but something inside him is crumbling. It's beautiful, bug. When Lily drifts off to sleep, he sits on the edge of the couch, staring at the photo of them on his cracked phone screen. The comments beneath the article are cruel. People talk like they know him, like he's a scam, like Lily's just a prop. He can't let her grow up in a storm she doesn't understand. The next morning, he packs quietly. A duffel bag, her favorite book, The Paper Crown. Lily stirs awake. "Daddy, where are we going?" He kneels down, brushing a curl from her forehead. "Somewhere quiet for a while." "But what about Aunt Ellie?" she whispers, blinking. He swallows hard. "She's got a big world to take care of. We don't belong in it." Lily's eyes glisten, but she nods like she understands more than she should. She reaches into her little backpack, pulls out the paper crown, and presses it into his hand. "It's okay, Daddy," she says softly. "We can leave." The same words, but this time they don't sound brave. They sound like goodbye. And somewhere across the city, Eliner stares at that same headline, at that same photo, her hands gripping the edge of her desk. The bracelet is cold against her palm. She whispers into the quiet, "Not again." The boardroom is tense when Eliner walks in. The sunlight spills through the floor-to-ceiling windows, painting the polished table with streaks of gold, but the warmth doesn't reach the faces seated around her. They are all sharp suits and polished shoes, the same people who have followed her lead for years. Now, many of them are uncertain, restless, whispering behind carefully controlled expressions. "Eliner," the chairman begins, voice tight, "this situation has become problematic. Investors are raising concerns about your judgment, your involvement with this family." "It's not a situation," Eliner interrupts, calm but firm. "It's life. A father, a little girl, a human being, that is what this is." The room shifts uneasily. One of the executives coughs, another clears their throat, but Eliner ignores it all. She leans on the edge of the table, fingers splayed, grounding herself. "I spent decades climbing a ladder built on numbers, contracts, and acquisitions. I wore the armor of perfection, hid my grief, and told myself that success could replace what I lost. But it can't. Nothing can. And tonight, I will not hide behind it any longer. Whispers begin to ripple through the room, and a few faces turn pale. Elinor takes a deep breath. Do you know what it feels like to lose a child? To watch them slip through your fingers while you were distracted by work, ambition, or convenience? I do. And I will not allow another child, another family, to face despair because I chose convenience over humanity. The chairman's lips tighten. We are not questioning your character. We are questioning your judgment. Personal feelings have no place in corporate decisions. I disagree, she says, her voice rising, unwavering. If my success means I forget to see people, to care for people, then it is meaningless. David is not a charity case. Lily is not a PR stunt. They are living, breathing individuals with hopes and hearts. If saving them is a mistake, then I will make that mistake every single time. A few board members shift in their seats, uncomfortable but unable to look away. Elinor continues, her eyes scanning the room with quiet intensity. I lost someone once, my daughter. I failed to be present when it mattered most. I built walls around myself and called it strength. But strength without compassion is weakness. And I will not let fear of judgment dictate my actions again. There is a long pause. Then a junior executive speaks softly, almost a whisper. But the optics are meaningless, Elinor cuts in sharply. They do not measure love, courage, or morality. They do not define our worth. The only thing that matters is what is right. And the right thing is standing here and saying, I will not turn away from this family. Not because it's convenient, not because it benefits me, but because it is human, because it is just, because it is necessary. The tension is thick enough to slice. Some board members are frowning, others silent, eyes flicking between her and each other. The room is no longer just a boardroom. It is a courtroom, a confessional, a stage for truth. I will not apologize for choosing humanity over image, she adds softly, but there is steel beneath the softness. I will not apologize for showing that compassion is not weakness, and that leadership is not only measured in profit margins. For the first time, the silence in the room is complete. Even the chairman seems unsure, his fingers drumming lightly on the table. Then, after a long pause, he exhales, finally speaking. Elinor, this is unprecedented. But if you truly believe this is right, then we will support your decision. Elinor nods once, acknowledging the compromise, but more than that, acknowledging that she has reclaimed her voice. She leaves the boardroom with her head held high, feeling the weight of years of guilt and fear lift slightly from her shoulders. Outside, the city stretches endlessly, buildings glinting in the late afternoon sun. Elinor steps onto the terrace and sees David and Lily waiting at the curb. Lily's paper crown is slightly crooked, and she waves enthusiastically. David stands beside her, nervous but smiling. Hi, Lily, Elinor says softly, kneeling to meet her at eye level. Hi, Aunt Ellie, Lily shouts, throwing her arms around Elinor. She catches her immediately, holding her tight. David exhales, relief washing over him. Thank you, he says simply, not for the wealth or opportunity, but for seeing them, truly seeing them. No, Elinor replies, brushing a strand of hair from Lily's forehead. Thank you for letting me be a part of your lives again. They walk together toward the building, sunlight catching the edges of Lily's crown, her laughter echoing down the street. David watches her skip ahead, the tension in his shoulders easing for the first time in months. Elinor falls into step beside him, her presence calm and steady. Inside the building, Elinor sits with David reviewing plans for a new housing project. It's modest compared to her empire, but it is meaningful, tangible. Each blueprint, each line, each number represents not profit, but a life changed, a family given a chance. Do you think this will work? David asks quietly. Elinor studies the plans, then smiles. It will, not because it's perfect, but because it's built with heart. Heart will always be stronger than any obstacle. David nods slowly. For the first time in months, he feels like he can breathe. The weight of survival, of fear, of endless struggle lifts just enough to let him hope. Later, walking home, Lily skips ahead, backpack bouncing, humming her own tune. David glances at Alina. "I thought maybe we didn't belong here," he admits softly. "You belong wherever love belongs," she says gently, "and right now that's here." Lily tugs their hands, laughing. "Come on, I want to show you my drawing." They follow her into the apartment, the space small but warm. Alina kneels beside Lily as she spreads out her art, stick figures of all three of them under a big yellow sun. David watches, feeling awe and gratitude. Alina smiles, the first unguarded smile in years. Later that evening, they sit together quietly. Lily asleep between them, the city lights glowing through the blinds. David and Alina exchange a glance, a silent acknowledgement that the world outside may still be harsh, but inside this small bubble of connection, they are safe. They have discovered something rare: trust, redemption, and the power of small, courageous choices. The city hums around them, sprawling and indifferent, but inside, a father, a daughter, and a woman who has reclaimed her heart move forward together, unbroken, transformed. Alina looks at David and Lily, her hand brushing briefly against his shoulder. "We'll face the world together," she says softly. David smiles, a quiet promise in his eyes. "Together." And Lily, with her crooked crown and fearless heart, sleeps peacefully, knowing that for the first time they are truly home. The sun dips behind the skyline, casting long shadows that stretch across the streets. But within this small circle, there is warmth, there is hope, and there is the unshakable truth that love, courage, and compassion can bridge even the widest divides. Because sometimes, it takes only one night, one voice, and one act of bravery to change everything. And tonight, everything has changed. Months later, David stands on the balcony of a modest new apartment building, surveying the housing project they helped plan together. It isn't the sprawling skyscrapers Alina commands, but it's real, tangible, and built for people who need a second chance. Workers move efficiently below, carrying beams and boards, while children laugh and run through the courtyard, chasing dreams that now feel possible. Lily runs ahead, backpack bouncing, paper crown perched proudly on her head. She waves at David and Alina, who follows behind, carrying a box of supplies for the new community center. Alina's heels are long forgotten. She moves easily in flats, hands brushing over the plans and sketches of the project, but her eyes never leave Lily. "Daddy, look!" Lily shouts, pointing to a mural the local kids painted. 3 stick figures holding hands under a bright yellow sun. "That's us." David kneels beside her, ruffling her hair. "Yeah, Bug, that's us, and it's perfect." Alina crouches down, smiling at the mural, then at Lily. "You've got a good eye for art," she says softly, "just like your heart." David watches the exchange, a quiet pride swelling in his chest. The fear, the sleepless nights, the humiliation of being seen as less than, all of it feels distant now. What matters isn't money or appearances, but connection. What matters is building something that lasts beyond themselves. Later, as the sun dips below the horizon, painting the sky in warm gold and soft pink, they sit together on the balcony. Lily rests her head on David's shoulder, yawning, while Alina folds her hands on her lap, watching the world grow quieter. "This feels right," David says, almost to himself. Alina nods. "It does, because it's real, because it's earned. Because we're choosing to care, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary." Lily murmurs in her sleep, clutching her paper crown like a talisman. David kisses her forehead gently. Alina reaches over, brushing her fingers against his in a quiet promise. The city stretches endlessly below, indifferent and vast. But within this small circle, there is warmth, love, and the sense of purpose that comes from truly seeing and protecting what matters. They may come from different worlds, but together, they've built something stronger than wealth, stronger than fear. They've built hope. And sometimes, all it takes is a small voice, a brave heart, and a single choice to remind us that kindness is the most powerful legacy of all. Sometimes life's biggest changes come from the smallest moments, a whispered reassurance, a simple act of kindness, or a choice to see someone beyond their struggles. David, Lily, and Alina remind us that compassion can bridge worlds, heal old wounds, and create hope where there was once despair. It's not wealth or power that defines us, but the courage to act with heart, even when it's hard. So hold tight to the people you love, trust in the small voices that guide you, and remember, every act of kindness has the power to change everything.